On November 8, 2022, a rideshare driver in Phoenix, Arizona picked up a passenger at 1:47 a.m. from a gas station on the edge of town. The ride was supposed to take 14 minutes. It lasted over 3 hours, and by the time it was over, the driver was found parked on the side of a desert highway, 46 miles from the drop-off location, engine still running, doors locked from the inside. He was sitting in the driver's seat, eyes open, hands still on the steering wheel. He couldn't speak for 2 days. This is a true story, and it starts with a simple mistake. He picked up the wrong passenger. Kevin Morales was 28 years old. He lived in a small apartment on the south side of Phoenix with his dog, a German Shepherd named Duke. He worked as an electrician during the day and drove rideshare at night 3 or 4 times a week to make extra cash. He was a quiet guy, the kind of person who didn't talk much, but when he did, people listened. He had this calm, steady energy about him. Nothing rattled Kevin. He had been driving late-night rides for almost 2 years, and he had seen it all. Drunk college kids, crying couples after breakups, people who just needed someone to sit in silence with them at 3 a.m. Kevin didn't mind the late shifts. He actually liked them. The roads were empty, the city was quiet, and the tips were better because nobody else wanted to drive at 2 a.m. November 8th was a Tuesday night, or technically Wednesday morning. Kevin had already done 3 rides that night, 2 short ones from downtown bars and 1 longer one to the airport. He was about to call it a night when his phone pinged with 1 more ride request. The pickup location was a gas station, a Circle K on the eastern edge of Phoenix where the city starts to thin out and the desert begins. The destination was an address about 14 minutes east, a residential street in a small neighborhood called Apache Junction. 14 minutes. Easy money. 1 more ride, then home. Kevin accepted the ride. He should not have. Kevin pulled into the Circle K parking lot at 1:47 a.m. The gas station was mostly empty. 1 car at the pumps, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead casting that cold white glow that makes everything look slightly wrong at night. He checked the app. The passenger's name was listed as D. No last name, no profile picture, just the letter D. Kevin didn't think much of it. A lot of people use fake names or initials on rideshare apps. It wasn't unusual. He waited. After about 2 minutes, a man walked out of the gas station and approached the car. He opened the rear passenger door and got in without a word. Kevin looked in the rearview mirror to greet him, and something about the man made Kevin's hands tighten on the steering wheel. The man looked like he was in his late 30s, average height, thin build. He was wearing a plain dark jacket zipped up to his chin and dark pants. His hair was short and dark. His face was clean shaven, but it was his eyes that Kevin noticed. They were pale, almost gray, and they didn't move. Most people, when they get in a car, they look around. They check their phone, they glance at the driver, they settle in. This man did none of that. He got in, sat perfectly still, and stared straight ahead. His pale gray eyes were fixed on the back of Kevin's headrest. Not at Kevin, not out the window, at the headrest, like he was looking through it. Kevin felt something he hadn't felt in 2 years of late-night driving. A chill, not fear exactly, more like instinct. That deep animal part of your brain that says something is wrong with this person. But Kevin was calm by nature. He was practical. He figured the guy was just tired, maybe high, maybe socially awkward. He had driven stranger people before. He confirmed the destination on the app, pulled out of the gas station, and started driving east toward Apache Junction. The first 5 minutes were silent. Kevin drove. The man sat in the back. Neither of them spoke. Kevin kept glancing in the rearview mirror. The man hadn't moved. His hands were on his knees. His back was straight. His pale gray eyes stared at the headrest. He hadn't blinked. In 5 minutes of driving, Kevin had not seen the man blink once. Kevin turned on the radio, low volume, just to fill the silence. A country station, something normal, something human. The man spoke for the first time. Turn it off. Kevin turned off the radio. The car was silent again. Just the road, just the engine, just the feeling of someone sitting behind you who you desperately wished wasn't there. They left the city limits. The streetlights ended. The road became a 2-lane highway cutting straight through flat, empty desert. No other cars, no lights, just the headlights pushing into the darkness ahead. Kevin checked the GPS. 7 minutes to the destination. Then the man spoke again. "Don't take me to that address." Kevin looked in the mirror. The man was still staring at the headrest. His expression hadn't changed. His voice had no emotion, no urgency, no anger, nothing. Kevin asked where he wanted to go instead. The man said, "Just keep driving." Kevin's grip on the wheel tightened. His instinct was screaming now, but he stayed calm. He told the man he needed a destination or he would have to end the ride. The man didn't respond. Kevin repeated himself. The man slowly turned his head. For the first time since getting in the car, he looked directly at Kevin in the rearview mirror. And Kevin said later that when those pale gray eyes met his in the mirror, he felt something he couldn't describe. It wasn't fear. It was deeper than fear. It was like looking at something that was wearing a person but wasn't one. The man said one more sentence. "You don't want to stop this car, Kevin." Kevin had never given the man his name. It wasn't displayed on the app. He hadn't introduced himself. He wasn't wearing a name tag. The man knew his name. Kevin kept driving. He didn't know why. He told himself it was because he didn't want to provoke the man. He told himself it was the smart thing to do. Keep driving. Stay calm. Find an opportunity. But the truth was something else. Kevin said later that from the moment those eyes met his in the mirror, his body wouldn't cooperate. His hand stayed on the wheel. His foot stayed on the gas. He wanted to pull over. He wanted to stop. He wanted to open the door and run into the desert. But he couldn't. They drove past the Apache Junction exit. Kevin watched it go by in the rearview mirror. The last lit exit. The last sign of civilization. After that, it was just desert. Flat. Empty. Dark. The highway stretched ahead in a straight line like a scar cutting through nothing. The man hadn't moved. 20 minutes past the exit, the man started doing something that Kevin said broke something inside him. He started whispering. Not to Kevin, not on a phone. He was whispering to himself. Or to something Kevin couldn't see. The whispers were constant, low, rapid, like a prayer or a chant. Kevin couldn't make out the words. They weren't English. They weren't Spanish. They weren't any language Kevin recognized. It was just sound, rhythmic, repetitive, like something being recited from memory. And as the man whispered, the temperature in the car dropped. Kevin said it was like the heater stopped working. His breath became visible. Actual visible breath in November in a car with the heater running. The whispers got faster. Kevin's hands were shaking on the wheel. Tears were running down his face. He didn't know why he was crying. He wasn't sad. He wasn't in pain. His body was just reacting to something his conscious mind couldn't process. Then the man stopped whispering. The car was silent, and Kevin heard something in the back seat that made his blood turn to ice. A second voice. Someone else was whispering in the back seat. But there was no one else in the car. The whisper came from the seat directly behind Kevin, right behind his head, inches away. A voice that was not the man's. Higher, thinner, like air being pushed through a crack. It whispered one word. Closer. Kevin doesn't remember anything after that. At 5:12 a.m. on November 9th, 2022, a highway patrol officer found Kevin's car parked on the shoulder of Highway 60, approximately 46 miles east of Apache Junction. The engine was running. The doors were locked from the inside. The headlights were on. Kevin was sitting in the driver's seat. His hands were on the steering wheel at 10 and 2. His eyes were open. He was staring straight ahead. He was unresponsive. The officer had to break the driver's side window to reach him. Kevin was taken to a hospital. He was physically unharmed. No injuries, no drugs or alcohol in his system. His vitals were normal, but he didn't speak for 2 days. When he finally did speak, the first thing he said was, "There was no one in the back seat when they found me." The rear passenger door had not been opened. The child safety lock was engaged, which meant the rear doors could not be opened from inside. The man could not have exited the vehicle while it was moving, but when they found Kevin, the back seat was empty. Kevin quit driving Rideshare that night. He never drove at night again. He told a friend months later that he still couldn't look in a rearview mirror without feeling those pale gray eyes staring back. He said the thing that haunted him most wasn't the whispering. It wasn't the cold. It wasn't even the second voice behind his head. It was that moment in the mirror when the man looked at him and said his name, because in that moment Kevin knew with absolute certainty that whatever was sitting in his back seat was not human. It looked human. It sounded human. It moved like a human. But it wasn't. And the worst part, the part Kevin never told the police, was that just before he blacked out, he saw the man's reflection in the rearview mirror one last time, and the man was smiling. Not a normal smile, not a happy smile, a smile that was too wide, too many teeth, a smile that stretched past where a human smile should stop. And those pale gray eyes were no longer looking at the headrest. They were looking directly at Kevin, like they had been the entire time. The next time you call a rideshare late at night, or the next time you offer someone a ride, or the next time you see a stranger standing alone at a gas station at 2 a.m., look at their eyes. Really look. Because Kevin looked, and he saw something behind those eyes that wasn't a person, something that knew his name, something that whispered in a language that doesn't exist. something that smiled with a mouth that had too many teeth. And sometimes when Kevin is lying in bed at night, he swears he can still hear it. That thin, high voice, right behind his head, whispering, closer. If this story made your skin crawl, subscribe, because the next one happened to a woman who let the wrong person into her home. Stay safe, lock your doors, and if a stranger knows your name before you tell them, drive. Don't stop. Don't look in the mirror. Just drive.